Welcome to video lesson 4.3, where we are going to be introducing how to multiply fractions and fractions. You're going to need that same page that we worked on for the video before. We're going to be in that center column. So just to review, this is page 36. And so there's no table of contents to fill in. You already have your foldable. So just make sure you have that ready. And I'm going to start, like the previous video, with a picture model of what's going on when we're actually multiplying a fraction times another fraction. So the difference between fractions and whole numbers is that we're not going to start out with wholes. We're actually going to be talking about one thing, and I'm going to represent that as a rectangle, and that is divided up into thirds. So I'm going to draw two columns. It's not perfect, but two of the thirds is going to be talking about these two pieces of the whole. So if the rectangle represents a whole, or one, and it's divided up into thirds, two of them represents 2/3. So now I'm going to switch my colors, and now I'm going to draw horizontal rows to represent fourths. So I'm going to split my same whole up into fourths. And since the numerator is a 3, I'm going to shade in 3 of the rows. And to get my answer of what is 2/3 times 3/4, I have to look over that. So I have these 6 boxes that are both green and blue. Now I have to look at this whole in a new way. How many rectangles are there in the entire shape, in the entire whole? I have a 3 by 4. So there's 12 small rectangles in this whole now. And now I have to look at what is shaded in with both green and blue. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 12 shaded in. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are either white or just green or just blue. So that's what's going on when we are multiplying fractions. And my answer will be 6 out of the 12 pieces shaded in, which then we could rearrange and think about as half of this shape as well if we wanted to simplify it down. So that's a picture model. Now we're going to go to our notes. So here we are with page 36. In the center, there's the fraction and fraction column. That's what we're talking about today. When there's two factors, then they're both fractions. The trick that I'm going to show you, you can always just multiply across the numerators and multiply across the denominators and then simplify. However, there is a trick that makes it a little less cumbersome or hard to deal with those large multiplication examples that you might have to do. If you simplify first, it makes the multiplication a little bit easier. You don't have to simplify at the end. So it's just kind of flip-flopping what we do. Instead of multiplying first, we're going to simplify and then multiply numerators and multiply denominators. So let's try some. I'm going to go above and below that center column on the inside to do my examples. And again, I'm going to, for example 1, just rewrite this so that you have the numerator and denominator one on top of the other. So I have 6/7 times 1/12. Now, it is perfectly good to multiply across 6 times 1 and 7 times 12. If I did multiply across, it would be 6, and then 7 times 12 is 84. Then I would have to simplify this. I could do that by finding a common factor, and I'm going to divide by 6/6, and I will get 1, and then I'll have to figure out what 84 divided by 6 is, and I get a 14. And so the answer is 1/14. Now let me show you that simplifying trick. If you simplify first, you would notice, and I'm just going to try to put a box around this. Now I'm going to show you down here below how to simplify. If you notice that, hey, this 6 and this 12 have a common factor. The key to doing this is that you have to pick a number that's in the numerator and then in the denominator. You're usually going to have to cross over from one factor to another. So the numerator in this factor has a common factor with the denominator in this factor. If that's the case, you can simplify first. And in your head, you have to think, okay, the common factor of both those numbers is 6. And then you have to think, what's 6 divided by 6? If that's hard for you to do in your head, you can literally just do a think bubble. And you can do 6 divided by 6. And then you can do a think bubble down here and do 12 divided by 6. Or if you want to just do it in your head, that's acceptable. And you just cross out the 6 and put the answer, 1. You cross out the 12 and put what it's simplifying down to, which is a 2. Then we have 1/7 times 1/2. That's a lot easier to do than getting that 84 in the denominator, and right away we get 1/14, which was what we got after we simplified. So this becomes 1/7 times 1/2, which is 1/14, and we don't have to simplify at the end. Notice we're dividing by 6 here first. Before, we were dividing by 6 at the end. So it's the same thing, it's just which order are you going to do it in. Let's try one more. So this is a word problem example to show you what you might see when we try word problems. It says Frank had half of the lawn left to mow. On Saturday, he mowed 2/3 of what was left. What fraction of the entire lawn did Frank mow on Saturday? So with word problems, I like to sometimes draw out what's going on. Here's the lawn, and he mowed half of it already. And then he's only going to mow 2/3 of what was left. So I'm drawing that 2/3 horizontally, and